Each year, 6.5 million animals enter the poor living conditions of animal shelters, and of that, approximately 1.5 million are euthanized due to overcrowdedness, according to pet statistics. Is there anything we can do to help these poor animal conditions and help them get out of the animal shelters? Yes, there absolutely is. So what can we do? So by helping and adopting out of animal shelters, you save a life, you get a happy, mostly healthy animal from the animal shelters, and a companion, obviously. And one act of anything can help the horrific numbers. Saving the life of an animal is so rewarding, and from my experience, rescue dogs don't forget where they came from, and they're so thankful for you. I have 3 rescue dogs myself. According to the ASPCA, less than 25% of dogs are obtained through shelters and just over 30% of cats. I have 3 rescue dogs myself, and personally, I can tell the difference between me and my dogs and someone else and their dog that they bought. Although this is based on personal opinion and personal evidence, I do believe rescue dogs know that you saved their life, and they're ultimately thankful for that. So a story I can give is whenever one of my dogs was adopted, we adopted her from an animal shelter here in Upshur County, and the woman told us to be careful because she didn't like she was new, she was a puppy. So my dad reached down and got her and out of the cage. She was just a little tiny puppy, and she immediately took to him. No bites, no nothing. And the woman was like, I hadn't have seen it. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't have seen it. So that right there is proof for me that she is absolutely my dad's dog. She's 100% for him. She loves all of us, but she's definitely my dad's dog. So there's an example for that. In 2012, 84.7% of dogs were adopted from a shelter or rescue, according to the Humane Society of the United States. But they also state that in 2017 and 2018, that percentage drastically dropped to half, at 44%. So half of the people that were once adopting are now not adopting. Respectively, in those same years, 19% were bought from breeders, and that number is now 25%. But on the positive side, in 2015 and 2016, that number has went down by 9%. So there was 34% in those years of people are buying their animals and pets from breeders. Most pets, with a few exceptions, are usually happy and healthy animals when they come from a shelter. When adopting, all shelters have kept them up to date on shots and treatments, and they have all been seen and looked over by the veterinarian to make sure that they are safe to go for adoption. Additionally, most shelters, like the one here in Upshur County, have already spayed or neutered the animal, or they will assist you in that process. The shelter here, like with one of my dogs, they give you a voucher to get the animal spayed or neutered, so it's not as much of an expense. They're very well taken care of at shelters. They have to be. It's law. Counter arguments may be that the shelter animals are bad or have health problems, but actually, like I previously mentioned, they're taken care of very, very well by the people. They really care for their well-being. And most purebreds you get from a breeder have untreatable and bad genetic health problems. There aren't many purebreds in animal shelters at all. So yes, there can be health problems, but legally, the people at shelters are required to let you know of any health problems and behavioral problems that they are aware of. Those health problems that they have to tell you, and behavioral problems most of the time is because they're in an unfamiliar and unforgiving environment of an animal shelter. I wouldn't want to be living in an animal shelter, and neither do those animals, which is probably why they have most of their behavioral problems. They're most usually stressed there in their environment. So there's that. The statistics behind shelter animal intake, adoption, and euthanization are the tell-all for why you should adopt. Of the 3 million cats and dogs that are euthanized in shelters each year, 2.4 million, which is 80%, are healthy and treatable and could have been adopted just as easy as 1, 2, 3. Luckily, the Humane Society of the United States also states that the number of cats in shelters adopted cats and dogs adopted from shelters each year is 4 million. So it's more than are euthanized, but still it's almost the same amount, and that's just not acceptable in my eyes. So there's also a counter argument that there are responsible breeders, and yes, there are. Kudos to those people because they know what they're doing and they've been through it multiple times. But I mean, if you're just wanting a pet or a companion, then why go pay $600, $700, $800 for a pet when you can go to the animal shelter and get one that's twice as loving? I have nothing against those animals, those responsible breeders. They're really great. But if you need a working animal on a farm, or a service dog, or something that needs to do its job, like for like a police dog, they can go to that responsible breeder because they naturally know what they're supposed to do. Those dogs do. They come from that environment. So by all means, go to a responsible breeder. But if you're just looking for an emotional support animal, or a pet, or companion, or just someone to do stuff with, go hiking, then go to the animal shelter. There's plenty that could be adopted. Each year, 6.5 million animals enter the poor living conditions of animal shelters, and of that amount, approximately 1.5 million are euthanized due to overcrowdedness. And that's the raw statistics that show the animal shelter crisis, and something needs to be done. Animal shelters are at a real crisis, and there's only us to save the animals. First off, saving a life at those animal shelters is so rewarding, and they will forever remember that you saved their life. Secondly, shelter animals don't have all the health and baby problems, and you can help those problems by getting them out of that awful, unfamiliar environment causing their behavior. And finally, you know the painful statistics, and the ball's in your hands. Adopt, don't shop.